So, hello everyone. Thanks for joining in Nature Healing. Tonight, I'm going to talk about one of my favorite topics, honeybees. And since I could talk about this topic for hours and hours, I'm limiting it to the subject of spring swarming. So, swarms are when honeybees give birth, basically. They give birth to themselves. And today I'm coming literally running from coordinating two different swarms, taking care of two different swarms that happened that I don't personally have space for in my apiary. So I have a friend going to invite them into boxes and bring them into her apiary. Um, so it's very exciting, and I'm really feeling the energy of swarm right now, that birth energy. So I am going to share my screen and bring up a short presentation. Can you all see this? I'm wondering if I play it, can you still see it okay? Okay, good. We'll see if this works. So, honeybees and spring swarms. I love this quote from Rudolf Steiner because it's so true, and really it's true of all nature, but honeybees in particular seem to really like to go against what we think they are. Um, so he says, we can learn so much from honeybees because they completely contradict the thoughts we form about them. So the moment we have a reference framework around how honeybees are supposed to act, they decide to pivot and do something completely different. And what I've seen is they're so creative and adaptable, and which is great because there's a lot of things that they get to adapt to these days with all the changing seasons and changing environments that they've had. And they're kind of like mistresses or masters of synchronicity. They're really, really good at just riding that wave of the Tao, and staying above the waves. So here's a picture of a swarm, and I'll just briefly describe um, what a swarm is. So this is how honeybees birth. And what happens is when a hive gets full enough and they have enough bees, they feel enough abundance, they do this beautiful act of like joy and beauty and enoughness and swarm. And the old queen, the dowager queen, and about two-thirds of the hive all leave at once. And I've seen it happen. They leave the hive, it's like this mad rush, and they go out and they circle around, dance in the sun for a little bit, and then they coagulate, usually on a tree. And they form this ball, which um, is really like an organ. You know, you can kind of gently put your hand inside it, and it will be warm, and it almost feels like you're putting your hand like inside someone's heart or something. It's like this really intimate, visceral feel. And, you know, really, if, honeybee colonies are superorganisms. So one bee by itself is not the honeybee, right? The honeybee is this entirety, this entirety of one queen and many sister bees and, random drone, the male bees, um, as they come and go. So in my yard, it's hard to see, but this is where I sit with my bees. This is a little hollowed out bush area. And again, it's hard to see, but if you can see the cursor, kind of where I'm circling here, that's one of my beehives. And so from this vantage, I can watch the hive and watch the coming and goings of the bees and smell the hive, and be with the hive without bothering them. And this is sort of where I first started practicing my pure consciousness. um, practices. I would sit outside and I would do my end sounds along with the bees. They were my first chi buddies. Um, and yes, they're not doing the end sound; they're doing their own humming, and the end sound is not connected to the bees officially, of course. But um, but I really do associate personally coming back to myself with hearing the humming of the bees. And oh, open for you. Can you guys hear that? Okay. So here's the sound of bees swarming last week. And I just thought we can all practice saying our end sound along with the bees together and come into Ming Shui for the rest of the presentation. So I'll invite you to imagine that you're in that sit spot. Oh, see if I can get them together. Can you still hear it? Good. I'll imagine that you're in the sit spot under the tree on the beautiful cedar lawn, feeling your feet on the ground and coming back to your Ming Shui state, coming back to your observer observing itself. We can say the end song together. Sing into the vibration supported by the beat. And just relaxing into the gentle hum of happy bees birthing themselves anew, finding a new home, dancing in the sun, and just allowing your Mingshui to observe. Mm. And when you're ready, you can gently open your eyes. Again, coming back to this image, just observing, receiving information from your beautiful Mingshui state, supported by the bees. So here's just a picture of me looking at my bees. And even though bees are, we see them outside in the sun, dancing with the flowers, really they spend most of their time in the dark. They spend most of their time in kind of the cave of the hive. And they build these beautiful combs and these gorgeous patterns. And they store everything they need in the hexagonal cells that they build. They store honey, they store pollen that they ferment into bee bread. They eat the honey and the pollen. They also grow their babies in these hexagonal cells. And I keep traditional beehives, and I also have the honor of tending this log full of bees. And that's a long story in its own. But what I'll say about it is that bees, honeybees, their natural home is in old, hollowed out trees and also in rock caves. So before modern times, bees mostly lived in old oak trees, or this is an old poplar tree that kind of rotted out from the inside and made a perfect space for bees. And these tree and rock cavities are their favorite places to live. They have all the perfect qualities that bees prefer when they're creating their homes. And let's see if I can get this video to work. So that's the tree hive that I tend, and this was one of the hives that swarmed today. Was this tree hive? And so here's another opening to a natural wild tree beehive. And yeah, I'm trying to give a visceral feel for what it might be like to be inside a beehive. So here's a picture of this gorgeous honeycomb design that one colony of bees made. This is not mine, but they build the comb based on all sorts of factors. They're the greatest engineers. They build them based on temperature and physics and airflow and all these different things that we couldn't even imagine, um, all perfectly suited for whatever purposes they have. And here's a close-up picture of some of my bees from many years ago. I think somewhere in here there is a queen, but I'm not able to spot her right now. But in any case, it's our bees tending comb. Actually, I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back to here. I just want to invite you. I wanted to take you all through a another visualization. So I'll invite you to close your eyes once again to view this honeycomb maze that the bees build. And I'll invite you just to close your eyes and come back to your observer state. Breathing and relaxing. And just imagine yourself as a honeybee in a honeybee hive. And I'll describe some of the things that you might sense. So you come in from the sun into the hive, and inside the hive it is dark. And of course, there is an intense humming sound from all of your sisters. And as you come in, there are a lot of sensory things to behold. There is a smell of course, wax, beeswax, and honey and pollen. And there's also a smell of propolis, which has kind of a bitter smell. And as you come in, typically the baby bees are being raised in part of the hive. And in other parts of the hive, there is honey stores, and other parts of the hive, pollen. And maybe in the back of the hive, there are bees building new comb. And again, most of your life you spend in this dark space, this warm, slightly moist, beautifully smelling place where there is humming, there's always humming. And you notice the scent, the dominating scent of the queen. So the queen, her scent smells a lot like lemongrass. So if you know what lemongrass smells like, you can imagine that scent wafting through the hive. And by that scent, you can tell that all is well. So when the queen's scent is strong and pure, then there is a sense of wellness and this beautiful entrainment where everything flows in harmony. And so the hive that we're in, we're going to imagine, is a hive that is getting ready to swarm. And so it is a very full hive. There are sister bees everywhere, and it's bustling. And all at once, you receive information, maybe from your higher self, maybe, well, I don't know where they receive the information from, but as humans, we can maybe imagine that it's from our Mingshui. We receive this perfect information that it's time to swarm. And so we line up. We line up with all the bees in the dark inside the hive. All the bees line up and we wait. All the bees that are going to swarm, and again, it's about 2/3 of the hive, lines up and awaits for a signal. And we don't know where that signal comes from. It may come from temperature. It may come from our feeling of the pressure, the air pressure. A swarming beehive is the best indication that it will not rain in the next 3 days. It may come from the moon. I've noticed that my hives often like to swarm around the full moon. Whatever it is, we wait. We wait for this perfect signal. And as we wait, I'll mention that our bellies are full of honey. So right before a hive swarms, the bees eat their fill of honey, beautiful liquid gold. And our bodies are filled with enough honey to sustain us for 3 days. So we're in this beautiful state of anticipation, of connection, of wanting for nothing. We're about ready to leave our hive, leave all the stuff that, we had once worked so hard to build and protect. So we're leaving behind all the things that we would need to fiercely protect. And we're going out with our beautiful queen with full trust, full unconditional trust that where we are going, there will be a place for us, that there will be enough, that we will find our fortune, and that the world is there to support us. And so, with these beautiful feelings, again, we're bees, so thank you for allowing me some liberties. All at once, we receive a signal, and at once, everything explodes. We erupt out of the front of the hive, bees pouring out. And we pour out of the front of the hive and we fly up following our queen, who is guided by the sun. And our queen goes to the sun during the swarm, and this is where she restores her fertility. So the queen's fertility is one of the most important parts of the hive. Without her fertility, we are nothing. We don't survive. And so she goes, flies up to the sun, and we follow her. And we do this beautiful dance. When bees swarm, they are able to fly in such a way that no bees hit each other. And if there was to be a human hanging out in the swarm, this human would not, the bees would not run into her. So they fly in this way where they're flying perfectly in sync and perfect harmony. And so now we've gone from the darkness out into the beautiful light, out into the sun, finding our fortune, complete trust, following our queen into this beautiful swarm. And I'll now invite you to open your eyes, and I'm going to play a video of what this looks like from a human's point of view. And this is actually my bees swarming actually, it's a swarm of bees last week that found one of my empty hives and came to move in. So when after the bees swarm, they consolidate on a branch and they wait and they go through this whole process of deciding where they're going to move to find their home. And sometimes a helpful beekeeper will invite them into a box and they'll get a home that way. And sometimes, and I love it when it happens this way, they pick their own home. And so this is a picture of happy bees. They've picked that brown box right there, empty, it was all waiting for them. I put 2 frames of fresh honey in for them, and they're moving into their happy home. And before they do that, they're dancing in the sun. And again, I'm standing here in the swarm, and no bees, I did not get touched by any bees. Um, and they're at their happiest when they swarm because they have no hive to protect. There's no honey to protect. They're just in this complete state of oneness and being. They're not really too concerned with um, survival stuff. I mean, they'll need to find a home in 3 days, of course. But um, the energy around the swarm is just, it's why I keep bees. It's beautiful. So I'll end here, again, on this picture of a consolidated swarm, 40,000 bees just hanging out, looking for a new home. And I'll end there. Thanks for coming on the journey with me, everyone. So I'll just open the floor up to anything that wants to be shared, comments or intentions, healing intentions for our healing session.
I
Anything.
had an experience with bees when I was younger, and I wonder now if they were in the process of swarming. I had taken my nephew up to the park. He was probably about 2 or 3, and it was a park up the hill from his house. And he was going down the slide. And it was one of the first really warm days in the spring. And there was a rust hole in the side of the slide. And as Israel was coming down and I reached up to pick him up, the bees just poured out of that side of the slide. All I was wearing black pants. I mean, they were so thick on my pants that I couldn't even see my pants. And I held Israel out here and ran down the steps to his house and shoved him in and shut the door and took my pants off outside. But neither of us got stung. And that never had occurred to me before that it might have been right in the middle of a swarm. And I thought it looked like a good place.
Yep, sounds like they were living in the play structure. And the key is the first warm day in spring. There it is. Yep, sounds like a swarm.
Wow.
Yeah, honeybees, they live in all places. I found a colony living in the side of a brick building earlier this week. They're creative. So beautiful. Thank you, Angie. Allah.
Megan, what do you think the criteria are for them deciding where they're going to live?
It is a mystery. There's books, there's whole books on it. There's whole books on, observations that humans have made about how they, because I've seen them. They'll go out to all these different locations. Scouts will go out and then they come back and they do these little dances and they communicate. Maybe we are guessing, oh, this is a good place because of this and that. Oh, and this is a good place because of that and this. Um, but every swarm, their preferences are different. Um, and yeah, I mean, I just really, when I'm working with swarms, I really have to listen to that because they have opinions. And I always say that rather than saying I catch swarms, I say I invite them into a box. I have my box and I communicate to them, all right, well, this is what I have to offer you. If you're interested in coming with me, wonderful. If not, I trust that you have a better solution. And sometimes they do have a better solution. Um, you know, in general, bees like to be in warm, dark cavities. So usually if you present a box to them and you shake the branch and put them in there and close it, they'll want to stay, but not always. Um, and yeah, it can be pretty exciting working with bee swarms. So mystery, I would say. Thank you. Howla. Howla. So bees are very, very, they have a lot of healing medicine that humans have been partnering with there's some research that points at humans partnering with bees maybe 70,000 years ago. And there's some people that have postulated that the growth of the human brain may be related to our having the ability to eat honey. So when you have fire, you have the ability to use smoke, and smoke makes it a lot easier to get honey from wild hives because bees will become docile and not sting you as much when you use smoke. And there's research that suggests that the particular type of sugar in honey is exactly what our brains needed to grow bigger, and that the expansion of humans' brains and the development of all, of our amazing capabilities we have now is really due to a partnership with bees. In addition to that, the gifts from the hive are numerous. Propolis is the bee's immune system, and humans use propolis a lot in medicine. Of course, honey itself is very healing. Pollen is extremely protein rich and has all sorts of nutrients that we don't even know the extent of how important that they are. Um, and all these products also they have the signature of the land we live on. I mean, just imagine like the honey or the pollen that we have from bees, thousands and thousands of plants that this was all collected from, and all the information from all those plants. And then, of course, we have wax, which is used in all sorts of healing products and salves and balms, um, and for burning, right, for important purposes of the spirit and heart, and also the venom. So bee venom is also a very, very powerful medicine. And I would say 95% of the time I'm stung, it's in a place where I needed medicine that day. So in that spirit of all the healing gifts that bees give us, I would just like to open our field up to heart's desire healing intentions for ourselves, our friends. This is a strong, strong human healing field that we've stepped into here, um, hanging out with the bees.
Thank you for bringing us such beauty. It's really magnificent and yeah. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Allah.
Yeah. Allah.
You know if they make honey because is that like their food or what do they do with honey?
Their food, that's what bees eat.
Bees and Pooh Bears and
Yeah.
human.
Yeah. Everyone likes, yeah. It's a pretty perfect energy source. But yeah, it's their food. That's what they eat honey and they eat this bee bread, which is a fermented pollen product. Um, so yeah, when I get a new hive, I feed them honey. It's always funny. I don't harvest a lot of honey myself. I keep bees for the joy of it mostly. Sometimes I am left some honey, but yeah, I probably bought more honey than received in the last 4 years. But nothing wrong with harvesting honey though. It's all fine. It's not my thing. Yeah.
Is there a particular kind of honey you provide them when you're attracting a new swarm?
I just make sure that I know who collected it because there can be some diseases that can survive in honey. So I have a certain brand I buy locally that I know the beekeeper. But or if I have my own honey, I'll use that. Yeah. So most beekeepers feed their bees sugar water, which, no judging. It's just their food is honey. Yeah.
And are they territorial?
Well, when I see them and the native bees on plants, sometimes I see a little bit of rivalry sometimes. Um, and they will raid each other's hives. So, all's fair is fair in the world of nature, right? And they can get, in the summer when they're a little touchy and prickly because there's not a lot of food out there and they're having trouble late summer, fall, they can get a little feisty. So I usually leave my hives alone. It's part of why I have that place in my garden where I don't disturb them. They can get a little touchy. Um, they get really they are creatures of light and vibration, and they're really sensitive to sounds, both that we can hear and we can't hear. So like I would never go into my hives after 4th of July, for example. They're a little touchy. Um, yeah, so they're really affected by sound also. But in general, it depends on every hive is different. But in general, they're pretty gentle. And I used to beekeep without much equipment. Um, and that was fine. They don't, yeah. They're usually okay if you're going into their hive and listening and closing it up before they get nervous system deregulated, basically. Well, I'd like to put Ani and her family in the field, and Sam and his mom, Kelly, also, and Ben's brother and his fiance, Mariana's family, because they're getting married this upcoming weekend, and all the guests arriving, including Ben's parents, put them in the field also for driving across the country to that wedding. Thank you. Hala.
I want to put Bobby and I on our trip out to San Diego to Yin Yin's graduation. And for the trip to be easy on Bobby and for us to have a wonderful time with Yin Yin and Rika.
Oh, beautiful. You going this weekend?
Yes, we leave Thursday.
Okay, good. So you'll be driving on the same tailwind as Ben's parents from Chicago. So
Yeah,
great. They'll be driving to Santa Barbara. So very similar. Nice.
great.
Perfect. Send them the bees' blessings.
I'd like to put Kristen and Carter in the field. Thank you.
Kristen Carter, thank you.
I'd like to put Rebecca and Nick and my grandniece Sarah in the field because mom is going to have a baby sometime between now and June 1st. So high excitement for a new brother or sister for my grandniece.
Perfect. Hala to all of them, and especially sending beautiful bee birth vibes. Yeah, when it's swarm season, like today, I get to pretend like I'm a midwife. It's like call of the midwife. Just get phone calls, and you have to drop everything, and it's just yeah, it's just like having a baby, but different. So, hala to all the luck and all the synchronicity to make everything work out perfect, as it always does with babies. Yeah,
I'd like to put my niece Aurora in the field.
beautiful. Hala, Aurora.
I'd like to put our granddaughter Avon in the field.
Thank you. Hala to Ava.
I'd like to put my sister's father-in-law in the field, Roger.
Hala to Roger.
I'd like to put Bill and Laura, our friends, in the field. Thank you.
Thank you. Hala to Bill and Laura. Thank you all for the beautiful intentions. We'll hold them all in the field. And as we start our formal healing practice, thank you. So just closing your eyes and bringing in all the intentions, all these beautiful loved ones of ours that we care so much about. Bringing in all these intentions stated verbally and all those that are still in our hearts but silent. And taking a deep breath. And letting them out. Coming back to our bodies. Back to our beautiful Mingshui state. Observing Shenji Palace merged with our observer, observing itself. Allowing ourselves to find that pure baby heart state where we feel our complete harmony, where we feel the hum, just the hum of the Mingshui entirety state, of all the different levels of qi and qi fields and consciousness fields, all merging in concert together in a beautiful healing way. And we can say the N sound a few times to dissolve deeper into this state. Mm. 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 Feeling the support of our hive, this beautiful gathering today, our beautiful baby heart community, the entire Mingshui consciousness collective field with all of our teachers, sages of all the ages, feeling all of that support, feeling the support of Mother Earth and the Huanyan entirety field, all of the universe. Mm. 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 And allow yourself to relax completely into this supportive field, knowing that each of us are just one individual part or cell or honeybee in the greater hive, and that we are completely supported by this strong, healing field. Mm. 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 And we allow the head inner space to dissolve even further into emptiness. Shi. Shi. Our Mingshui merges with the neck inner space. Shi. Shi. Empty and open. We allow our shoulders and arms and hands to become empty and open. Shi. Shi. With a gentle intention, we allow our heart and lungs and breasts to become empty and open. Shi. Shi. We allow the abdomen to become empty and open, all the organs. Shi. Shi. open and clear. We allow the spine and central nervous system to become empty and open. We allow our legs, thighs, knees, calves, feet to become empty and open. Our bodies, our chi bodies, merge and expand and transform with this infinite Mingshui entirety. Allowing ourselves to dissolve into the Mingshui entirety field. We are Mingshui love. We are Mingshui peace. We are Mingshui happiness. We are Mingshui gratitude. We are Mingshui trust. We are Mingshui freedom. We are the oneness. And just allowing yourself to float in this way. Float and dissolve. And I'll bring you back when it's time. But for now, just allow yourself to go deeper, deeper. Shoo. Slowly and gently allowing yourself to take the form of a human again, to come gently back from formless into a new perfect form. And when the bees swarm, they go from being more or less in a form state, a colony living in a hive, to a formless state, to dissolved particles of bees almost flying around and dancing in the sunlight. And then from that formless state, they come back into form. They consolidate into a ball and find a place to live where they recreate themselves in a new shape, in a new form. So just bringing that beautiful example in for our Mingshui to observe and be inspired and full of awe around. And breathing and feeling into your new form now, your new consolidated state. You can rotate your hips or move your shoulders, seeing what this new body feels like. Allowing your body to be formed anew, to be recreated in the harmony of the Mingshui entirety field, with love and joy and abundance, peace and gratitude. And when you're ready, you can gently come back, open the eyes, witness all of our smiling faces. Allah.